What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for September 4th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the podcast. Happy hump day to everyone out there. Before we get into it, I just want to say, if I start sneezing, I apologize. Right before I started recording, I just did like 12 sneezes in a row. Gotta love fall allergy season. But before we get into our housekeeping, what a game. What a game. And this just reaffirms my belief that the Phillies are back, baby. Tyler Phillips was not good. Didn't even make it out of the first inning. Gave up 6 runs. Sixers. Phillies were down 6-1, and it was looking bleak. But for some reason, I had a fantasy draft, and I was finishing up some stuff for my daughter on her vanity that my wife redid. And I'm like, I should probably put this on as I'm putting doors and handles and things like that back on. Sure enough, they started chipping away. Every time they get close, something else would happen. We had a Taiwan Walker home run given up. Surprise, surprise. But I was laying in bed trying to stay awake to watch it, and it was, I guess it was 8-7. The last I remember, I did fall asleep, and I woke up to T-Mac calling the Schwarber 3-run shot in the 9th. And again, what a game by the Phillies, but even more so, that was a historic game for Kyle Schwarber. 5 for 6, 6 RBI, 3 home run. And I did see this courtesy of the Phillies PR department. So if it's wrong, you can blame them, not me. But Kyle Schwarber is the only player in Phillies history other than Mike Schmidt to have a 5-hit game with 3 home runs, which makes it that much more impressive. For the most part, the rest of the bullpen was solid. Even Taiwan Walker, I mean, if he's going to be the long man, they're either going to be down by a lot or up by a lot when he comes into games. So if he gives up a 2-run homer, it's not the end of the world. If I don't see him, I will not be upset. But what a game. Huge win for them. Milwaukee lost, so now that lead over Milwaukee is a game and a half. They're still a game and a half behind the Dodgers. Still 7 and 7.5 up on the Mets and the Braves and the Mets respectively. It's still too early to start talking magic number, but the magic number went down one more. We'll start talking about that when it gets around 15, which hopefully is later this week. But what a win. Like I said, I'm willing to say they're back. That's the kind of game that during that little lull during the summer, they totally would not have been. It would have been game over. They would have given up. They would have just packed it in and just not been able to do something. But they kept chipping away. It's like a weird 2-game series in Toronto. So it would have been very, very easy to just blow off this game and come back today and win another one with Christopher Sanchez on the mound. And then having 4 with Miami on the horizon. But they didn't, and I think that, to me, is how they were early in the season. Earlier in the season, you can never count them out of the game, no matter how many runs they were down. It's reminiscent of the 2008 Phillies when that whole era, you can never count them out, and that's the vibe I got last night. It was just, sometimes I'm very good with my feelings like, this game is over. I remember specifically the Carolina NFC Championship game being like, they have no shot to win this game, and everybody was like, no, they're still in it, and I was like, nope. And I same thing at Tampa Bay. There's a point in that one where I'm like, they're just not going to win this game. For some reason, I'm like, I don't think they're out of this, and they're not. This Phillies team is not. So good win for them. They remain hot. And finally, Schwarber did a little late night BP the other night after the Atlanta game. Tweaked some things, changed up his approach a little bit, and it seems like it paid off. So I am all in, especially if Schwarber's going to get hot. And I think, I don't know the number, but I know the last time this happened, whenever he leads the game off with a home run, the Phillies are like almost undefeated. Their record is ridiculous when he leads off the game with a home run. So if Kyle Schwarber's going to heat up for the month of September, sign me up. They're back at it this afternoon at 3. Like I said, Christopher Sanchez on the mound, and then they head to Miami for 4, a much-needed respite down in Miami. Let's go build this lead and chisel away at that magic number and just keep hammering those nails in the coffins of the Braves and the Mets. All right, some quick housekeeping notes. Yesterday, we talked about the assistant coaches for the Eagles, and I mentioned John Gruden. John Gruden, in fact, was the offensive coordinator under Ray Rhodes. But we continue our 2-year anniversary celebration this week, culminating with our anniversary on Sunday, September 8th. But remember, it's still not too late for you to qualify for a drawing for a random Philly Goat shirt. Just call or text the Back to the Future voice and text line at 267-495-8531 and be a subscriber to the YouTube channel. That's all you got to do. Interact with the voice and text line. Be a subscriber to the YouTube channel at Jimbo_Mott, and you will enter a drawing for a free Philly Goat t-shirt of your choice. Lots of good comments and things coming in through the text line. Not so many voicemails, but let's leave some voicemails. Let's have some fun. You can get on the show. Excuse me, as long as it's PG-13. But let's go. Start interacting. Qualify for that Philly Goat shirt. And in the meantime, go to Philly Goat. Do a little shopping for back to school or back to Eagles, and Sixers and Flyers are on the horizon as well. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. Spread the word, but be sure, interact with the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. And then be a subscriber to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mott, for your chance to win that free Philly Goat shirt. Follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mott, Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. Tell your friends, spread the word. Let's get this thing growing as we head into year 3. Just as soon as this whole back to school craziness gets underway and we get settled into our routine between sports and school and all that stuff, I got some things I'm working on, so stay tuned for that. But be sure to, like I said, spread the word, call the voice and text line, be a subscriber, and you could win a free Philly Goat t-shirt of your choice. All right. While you're at it, check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Doing great things over there. I was on the baseball episode last week. Had a lot of fun with them. The football crew is back. Can't wait to hear their previews for the Week 1 matchups. Always a good time, but that's available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. Eagles are flying out today to Brazil. Excuse me. Fall allergies, man. But they're flying out to Brazil to, I guess, later this morning. The line for this game is still 2.5. The over-under is still 48.5. Still not feeling good about it, but we still got a couple days here to really start diving into it. Not a lot has been coming out from practice and things like that, I think, because a lot of the writers are already in Brazil, and the team is not quite there yet. But I guess the big story yesterday was Darius Slay came out and apologized for his comments, I guess, about Brazil, where he said he's told his family not to come. I'm not really sure why he had to apologize for this. Basically, the NFL is telling them to be safe. Multiple people have said that. This is not Slay going off of the script or anything. So for him to have to come out and apologize, it just goes to show where the NFL's priorities are. They're all about making the money, and player safety be damned. And God forbid a player was asked a question, gave an honest answer, and the NFL didn't like it because it pissed off some people in Brazil. It's ridiculous, man. I mean, we got to stop with this, because there's certain things like, instead of making him not talk about it, why don't you do something to fix up the area in Brazil or help them out? Use some of that money, Roger, and help them become more secure or whatever it could be. I mean, it's just insane. And I don't want to turn this politically, so I'm going to stop my train of thought before I say something stupid. But it's just ridiculous. Like, the man does not feel safe bringing his family to Brazil, in part based on what you've told the NFL players to not leave the hotel. Don't carry your phone outside of your pocket. Don't do this. Don't do that. Yet you're making him apologize. Like, it's, and I'm assuming the NFL. I don't know who's making him apologize. It just seems very, very strange to me that he said what he said, and all of a sudden now, I'm looking forward to going to Brazil, and I apologize if I offended anyone. You shouldn't have offended anyone. The man is trying to protect his family. Like, don't apologize for that, Darius. And I've been hard on him before on this podcast, but damn, like, why should he apologize for making sure his family is safe? It's just dumb. Oh, I know why. Because the NFL wants to make that money. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't think they should even be going down here to play, at least not to open the season. Like that, I think that's whatever. But that was the biggest. And I said it yesterday. I'm going to say it again. Just give me some football. I'm sick of all this stuff. Like, I'm ready to start ripping players for not playing well and pointing out where we need to improve. Not talking about Darius Slay apologizing for protecting his family. Ridiculous. All right, today we're going to go back to 1997. And on this day in 1997, the Phillies beat the Expos 6-4 up in Montreal. They were down 4-1, a lot like last night, and battled back. They chipped away. And to be honest, this was even more impressive because of who was on the mound for the Expos that day. It was Pedro Martinez, who was having a lights-out season in 1997. September call-up, though, Bobby Estalella did not get the memo. He had 3 home runs and was the first Phillies rookie to ever do it. And I mean, I swear, I can't make this thing up. The podcast guys are looking down on me. The night after Kyle Schwarber hits 3 home runs in a game, we talk about Bobby Estalella hitting 3 home runs in the game. So sometimes you're just blessed. But he's the first Phillies rookie to hit 3 home runs in a game. Obviously, Kyle Schwarber now has done it twice this year. He's not a rookie. 2 of them actually came off of Pedro, though. So Bobby had a very good... nobody else really did much, but Bobby Estalella had Pedro's number that day. Rico Bronya also hit a home run later in the game. But unfortunately for Bobby Estalella, it was probably the high point of his Major League Baseball career. He didn't really have much of a shot to stick with the Phillies because of one guy named Mike Lieberthal. I do remember because of this game, though, there were a lot of times where... myself included, we're like, God, call up Estalella, because Lieberthal never hit for power. And we all felt that a catcher should have power numbers. But I'd say it worked out pretty well for the Phillies sticking with Mike Lieberthal. Estalella was traded after the 99 season to the Giants. But again, never had that night like he did that night in Montreal. One dubious distinction for Bobby Estalella, I guess you could call it, is he has the most career home runs with 48 by a player with fewer than 200 hits, 195. So I guess it was really all feast or famine for Estalella, who was, I think, like a 208 or 213 career hitter. And also, to add insult to injury, he eventually was named in the Mitchell report and was supposed to testify against Barry Bonds in that perjury case, but ended up declining to do so later, I guess, closer to the trial. But for one night anyway, Bobby Estalella was the man for the Phillies, hitting 3 home runs in a game that the Phillies won 6-4 up in Montreal. 2 of them coming off of Pedro Martinez, who was having a ridiculous Cy Young type year that year. But it was the high point of Bobby Estalalla's career on this day back in 1997. And I would be remiss if I didn't throw in, because we've been doing a lot of Eagles openers. On this day in 1988, the Eagles beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 41-14. 1988 was the year the Eagles won the division with Buddy Ryan, and that was the Fog Bowl year. But on this day in 1988, Eagles beat the Buccaneers 41-14 to open their season en route to that division title. All right, let's go to some second anniversary fun. First, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, if Ruben Amaro Jr. would have won one more championship, would we be viewing him a little bit differently? 78% of you agree with me and say yes. And I think he does get an unfair shake for what he did to the farm system. However, think about how pissed off, again, we were because Dave Dombrowski didn't do anything at the trade deadline. Ruben did stuff at the trade deadline. It just unfortunately never worked out for them. Bad luck, cold bats, whatever you want to call it. So I agree, though. If Ruben had won a World Series, we'd be looking at him a hell of a lot differently than what we do now. People were roasting him on Twitter yesterday for his analysis of the game. But to his credit, he's a good sport and took it in stride. All right, today we're going to look at second-round picks in honor of the number 2. And we've had some pretty good second-round picks in this city, specifically with the Eagles. Jalen Hurts was a second-round pick. Avonte Maddox, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Nolan Smith, Cooper DeJean, all right now are second-round picks who are expected to be major contributors to this Eagles team. But they've had some pretty good all-timers as well. Zach Ertz, Shady McCoy, Deshaun Jackson, Jeremiah Trotter, Bobby Taylor, Eric Allen, Randall Cunningham, all were second-round picks. Eric Allen should be a Hall of Famer, but he's not, unfortunately. Randall could make the case. I still think he should get in for being a person who trailblazer or revolutionizer of the game. But that's a topic for another discussion. For the Phillies, though, they got some pretty heavy hitters. I mean, you have Randy Wolf and Kevin Stocker, who were solid for their respective teams when they needed to be. But Jimmy Rollins and Scott Rowland were both second-round picks as well. For the Flyers, you got Pelle Lindbergh, who could have been great had he not tragically died in a drunk driving accident. Mikael Renberg from the Legion of Doom. And probably the best Flyer of all time, and Mr. Flyer himself, Bobby Clark, was a second-round pick. He was the number 17th pick overall. Sixers as well, World B. Free, Lou Williams, George McGinnis, Mo Cheeks. Hal Greer was also a second-round pick, number 14 overall. So it's kind of like a who's who of stars in the city who were second-round picks. And again, not bad at all. But that leads me to today's question of the day. Who's the best second-round pick in Philly history? Eric Allen, who should be a Hall of Famer. Jimmy Rollins, who also should be a Hall of Famer. Bobby Clark, who is a Hall of Famer. And Mo Cheeks, who is a Hall of Famer. We can give Mo the nod over Hal Greer there. You can make the argument for Hal Greer if you'd like. I'm going Mo Cheeks. You can also make the case for Scott Rowland over Jimmy Rollins, but no. But let me know who's the best second round pick in Phillies history, Phillies sports history. Is it Eric Allen, Jimmy Rollins, Bobby Clark, or Mo Cheeks? 267-495-8531. That is the number to the Back to the Future voice and text line. Call. Let me know what you think. Am I an idiot? Should Hal Greer be in over Mo Cheeks and Scott Rowland over Jimmy Rollins? Let me know. And that is your easy way to interact with the voice and text line. Then subscribe to the YouTube channel and enter that drawing to win a free Philly Goat t-shirt. But best second round pick in Philly sports history, Eric Allen, Jimmy Rollins, Bobby Clark, or Mo Cheeks. Let me know what you're thinking. That's a tough one for me. I think this is probably going to fall along what your favorite sports lines are. I'm going to go... I think I have to go Eric Allen. And it probably is because the Eagles kind of are top. But I can make a strong case for Jimmy Rollins. But that's just me. Let me know what you think. I'm going Eric Allen is the best second-round pick in Philly sports history. And that's saying a lot considering I really wanted to go Randall Cunningham. But Eric Allen should be in the Hall of Fame. Hopefully the NFL will make that right someday. But let me know your thoughts. Enter to win the free Philly Goat t-shirt. On this day back in 1988, Eagles opened up their season with a 41-14 win over the Buccaneers. A season in which they won the National League. The NFC East for the first time in a long time, and then lost to the Bears in the Fog Bowl in the playoffs that year. But it's Bobby Estalella Day because in 1997 he hit 3 home runs against the Expos, 2 of them coming off of Pedro Martinez. It was the high point of Estalella's career, first Phillies rookie to hit 3 home runs in a game on this day in 1997. Hopefully we'll have some more football content tomorrow. Gearing up for the Chiefs-Ravens to kick off the regular season. Fantasy drafts are over. Time to do a little research for survivor pool picks. But we'll have some more tomorrow heading into the start of football season. Hopefully the Phillies can complete this little 2-game sweep over the Blue Jays. They're so back. And you just know. I just had a feeling that game was not over. But we are back. Let's go. It's beautiful. The weather is amazing. It's a good time to be alive, minus the whole fall allergy thing. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for September 4th, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Happy Hump Day. Go have yourselves a Wednesday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.